Because there are dozens and dozens of Yellow Vest protesters out here protesting in front of the Arc de Triomphe. Along with people walking here along the Seine, there are many cruises that pass by here as well, but many of those have been canceled until further notice, others until the end of the month. With all the snow Paris has seen, they're still recovering from the flooding in the Seine. We know that the RERC train is still closed for the next couple days in certain areas.
It's all specialty small businesses that are here showing off the best of what they have at this market. Rue des Abbesses is one of my favorite neighborhoods in Paris. There's plenty of boutiques and cozy restaurants to keep you occupied for hours.
We're on Avenue Hoche, which is a road that leads directly to the Arc de Triomphe. Many of the roads that lead to the Arc de Triomphe have been blocked off by police because there are dozens and dozens of Yellow Vest protesters out here protesting in front of the Arc de Triomphe today. We've also been hearing lots of flashbangs from police trying to get people away from the area. Protests continued for the fourth consecutive weekend in Paris, with hundreds of people demonstrating near the Arc de Triomphe.
French people is dying, have no more money, have nothing to eat. We are rich people have more money and poor people have less money, and that's why we are here.
On Saturday, there were fires in the street, graffiti, and people waving French flags, making their presence known to police and the French government.
There are too much taxes in France, and there is too much tax because he doesn't want to reform the state. He's favorable to immigration, which is very costly, and last but not least, I think the euro, you know, France is in the Eurozone, is not favorable at all for the French economy.
In preparation for the demonstrations, the U.S. Embassy warned foreigners to avoid tourist locations, including Place de la Bastille and the Arc de Triomphe. Dozens of theaters, museums, and tourist tours were closed. Certain lines on the metro were also closed starting early in the morning as a precaution. We're seeing fires and cars on fire and such. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Unfortunately, in France, it's the sole way to obtain something. You know, we have obtained the freezing of the tax on gasoil, but that's not enough now. But unfortunately, in France, it's the sole way. You know, if there is no violence, you never obtain anything. And probably it's because in some DNA, you know, with the French Revolution, probably, I don't know.
In my heart, everything have to be, we had to fight for everything, not just for gasoil and our money, for everything in the world, for people who die of hungriness, for everything.
And since we've been here, we've seen firefighters putting out fires just in the area behind us here, just adjacent to Avenue Hoche, and it's because of these demonstrations that many places in Paris that are touristy have been closed for the day, including the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre. I'm standing just along the Seine River, and typically the area I'm standing allows people to walk from here and walk all along the Seine, but because of the recent rains we've seen here in France, that area is completely blocked off because of the flooding that we've seen. You can see here just how high that water has gotten in this area. It has risen very high, going all the way up to most of the tree trunks here that you can see, and it's been this way for the last couple days. The water runs deep throughout the Seine, nearly burying trees and playgrounds, and you can no longer see the sidewalks that run along the river. Tourists and locals take a moment to capture the flooding. One local tells me that the same type of flooding happened just last year. The city's flooding has closed 5 stops on the RERC train line nearest to the Notre Dame. The Orsay Museum is no longer hosting their late hours, that's until early February, and the Louvre even closed their Department of Islamic Art for several days since it is on the lower level. In the meantime, the city will wait for the rains to stop and the waters to recede. Along with people walking here along the Seine, there are many cruises that pass by here as well, but many of those have been canceled until further notice, others until the end of the month.
We're just outside the crowds here near the Notre Dame, and I can tell you that there's a lot of emotion out here tonight. There are people on their knees, there are people singing here. I've seen people walking away from here just in tears. Everyone very emotional, as this is such a landmark here in Paris. It means a lot to both visitors and people that live here. And I talked to those people today, a lot of them telling me that this is a major heartbreak for a lot of Parisians and visitors alike.
It's thousands and thousands of years old. It took a long time to build, and historically and religiously, it's a tragedy.
We saw it, and we hoped it was some other church. This is my favorite. It's my favorite place on planet Earth.
Dozens of people came to the cathedral to sing, to get down on their knees in respect, and pray that the rest of the church could be saved.
That smoke, oh my God, Notre Dame is on fire. I went, this is not good.
Georgie took this photo of her friend at around 6:30 this evening. Within minutes, you can see how quickly the fire started and grew. This video was taken just minutes later. Others also experienced how quickly the events unfolded.
We just went into Notre Dame, and then we were sitting outside a cafe, and I saw smoke, and I just feel devastated.
My wife saw the smoke, and immediately I just was in horrors and shocks. Both of us were.
Firefighters were greeted with an applause. The area surrounding the Notre Dame was blocked off, including 2 metro stops on Line 4, as crews worked to salvage the cathedral.
It's awful. Hopefully they'll be able to save it.
And I just hope that they manage to prevent it from collapsing, and we're gutting out the whole church with all that precious part of France's patrimoine.
I'm just so thankful for that church. I'm so thankful. I hope they can rebuild it and save it.
Reporting from Paris, Elena Gomez.
Strasbourg, the Christmas capital of Europe, continues to live up to its world-famous title.
Spirits are high. It's truly a Christmas Yuletide atmosphere.
Just 4 days prior, this well-known Christmas market was closed after a man started shooting at a crowd in one of the markets.
We had some shotguns, but we didn't know it was shotguns. It was like in a movie, in fact, but we didn't know what happened, so not scary like if we saw something, just scary because it was silent and like in a movie, you know?
A memorial has been set up for the Strasbourg victims. There are candles and flowers here. Many people have been coming to pay their respects before visiting some of the markets. We do know that the markets did reopen on Friday morning here in the city.
There was extra police presence throughout the city after the reopening of the market, and people had to be searched before entering the area.
It's interesting to see all the armed personnel in the street. It's comforting and alarming all at the same time.
Visitors from near and far came to feel the Christmas spirit in Strasbourg over the weekend, a place that remains united and strong as a community, even through tragedy.
This morning was a commemoration with a lot of people singing. But it's not easy.
Elena Gomez reporting from Strasbourg. The Eiffel Tower is open to visitors every day, but today it's closed, and the reason for that is the inches of snow that Paris saw over the last 2 days. Snow levels grew over 2 days from 2 to 6 inches in the city, and further south even more snow, up to 8 inches near the Orly airport. Tourists and locals seem to be enjoying this rarity in Paris.
We've been sloshing about in the snow, but trying to enjoy Paris with all the things that it offers, and it's been completely different and very exciting for that reason.
A CNN source says this was the biggest snowfall Paris has seen in 30 years. France's weather service is calling for vigilance with this snowstorm until Thursday morning because of the slippery road conditions. The city is also on an orange weather warning, the third highest for the country. Some buses and trains were affected by the storm, a problem for some who rely on public transportation.
It's kind of hard because the buses didn't work, the train didn't work, but it's fun. Paris looks very beautiful with snow.
Despite some transit problems, the view of the Eiffel Tower, standing amongst the snow, is enough to make people stop and embrace the city.
It seems to have a sort of calm, peaceful, silencing effect as well, so there's not so much hustle and bustle.
The city looks more quiet and it's beautiful. It looks like a film or something.
And along with all the snow Paris has seen, they're still recovering from the flooding in the Seine. We know that the RERC train is still closed for the next couple days in certain areas.